Scott's Geography Notebook. Do you want to try saying it?
Da, da, da.
I want to review a little bit more about frontal lifting. Now, if we go back to our global circulation model, we saw that we had very cold and dry air. We now know that this is going to be continental polar air, cold and dry air, and it's intersecting right here along this polar front. What we're going to be seeing further south is going to be a little bit warmer and a little bit more humid, and that's going to be our maritime tropic air. And so that's really what we're going to start to see. Now, we labeled this way back when at 60 degrees, but we also put this at 0. We know because of our seasonality that all of these different latitudes, those three guys are going to be shifting further south or further north. For those of us in the mid-latitudes, it's going to be this subpolar dynamic low-pressure system that's going to be bringing our precipitation to the mid-latitudes during our winter months. So let's understand a little bit more about what's going on between this continental polar air and this maritime tropic air. We know that as we're looking at those two different fronts, that they have two very different characteristics. As we reviewed in another video, we're going to have very cold. And because it's cold, it's going to be very dense air. The molecules are all closely packed together. It's cold and it's dry. And so we identify this air mass as a CP air mass, continental and polar. Very cold, dry, continental, and cold, polar. Now, the other one that we start to see is going to be coming across the mid-latitudes. It's going to be getting, still a little bit warm. That means that it will be less dense. And it's going to have some humidity. So it will be humid, or like a maritime influence. And so we refer to this as our maritime tropic air mass. Now, these two guys start to push back and forth against each other. And when these two air masses are pushing back and forth against each other, we start to see some wild and crazy things. So let's take a look at what we call a cold front first, and then we'll get into a warm front. So a cold front is going to be where our continental polar air is pushing pretty strongly against the other. So this is our continental polar air mass. And because that's coming through, and remember that this is more dense, as this air mass pushes its way through, it's going to be like a bulldozer, and it's going to be taking this maritime tropic air and forcing it up fairly quickly. Okay? And this is going to be a moving cold air, so we call this a cold front. And when we're looking at weather maps, there is a symbology associated with this. If it were in color, then it would be in blue, and it's going to have small little teeth, jagged little teeth. I like to think of this as Jack Frost nipping at our nose, or that cold front pushing forward. It's going to be symbolized with triangles in the direction that it's moving, and it's taking this warm, moist air, forcing it up fairly quickly. As a result, we'll probably be seeing cumulonimbus clouds coming out of this guy. The other thing that can happen is if our cold air is not getting pushy, but instead, maybe our warm air is getting a little bit pushy. If we have this air moving this direction, and this is going to be our maritime tropic air, then what's going to be happening is it's not going to be penetrating through this cold, dry, dense air. The continental polar air is still going to be more dense. It's still going to be staying low against the ground, but what will start to happen is this maritime tropic air is going to slowly start to creep its way up and over this cold, dry, dense air. Now, as this happens, we refer to this as a warm front, because the warm air is on the move, symbolized on our weather map in color. It would be in red, and this time it's going to have curvy teeth to it. Yes, it's going to be moving, but it's not moving as assertively. Usually we'll be seeing stratiform clouds forming here. It's going to be going up and over. Still, it's going to be rising, but it's going to be rising more gradually, and we're not going to see as severe of storms coming out of those. So we're going to have our cold front. If it is a cold air mass coming through, rapid uplift of our maritime tropic air. If it is a warm front, we will have gradual lift of that warm, moist air slowly going up as a ramp up over that continental polar air.